am much better because I never would have made it without the favor of God. Therefore, Joseph prospered in prison, and while he dwelt there, he met two significant people who had previously worked close with Pharaoh. One was the chief baker. The other was the chief butler. And the Bible said that these two men had dreams. And it was Joseph who, with the help of God, gave them the interpretation of these dreams. And the Bible going to let us to know that these dreams did come to pass as they were properly explained. However, Joseph had a proposition for the chief butler before he was restored his position. And Joseph simply asked him that if you so kind enough to remember me when you get before Pharaoh so that I can get out. However, when we look at the concurring verses, we find that there was a delay in time for Joseph's arrival to his destiny because the butler forgot about Joseph. He forgot him, y'all. But I would like to stop right there and tell somebody that though there may be a delay towards your arrival to your promised destination, I still want you to know that the flight hasn't been canceled. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. It ain't been canceled because when you have God's favor, it is only a matter of time before you show up to the promise on time. Therefore, God, in his divine brilliance, decided to create a situation with Pharaoh so that Joseph would be brought forth the answer. Now, if I had some time right there, I would tell somebody that God has just set it up to where you have the answer to somebody's dilemma, but I don't have the time to stay right there. However, when we observe the text, we find that Pharaoh has a twofold dream which he is struggling with to understand. But look at what happens because the Bible says that the same one who forgot about Joseph now remembers Joseph, and the Bible says that it was this butler who tells Pharaoh that while he and the baker was in the prison, they had dreams and they didn't know what they meant. But there was this young Hebrew fellow who told him of the interpretation, and just as he told them, the dreams came to pass. Therefore Pharaoh said to his men, bring me this boy whose name was Joseph. But this is what I want you to see, because the Bible says that before Joseph could go before Pharaoh, he had to change his clothes. I said he had to change his clothes, and I've just stopped by here to tell somebody that before you can step into your future, you gotta first change your clothes, because you can't walk into your promise with the same clothes you've been fighting in. You can't step into your purpose with the same clothes you've had to suffer in. You can't step into your healing with the same clothes you've been sick in. You can't walk into your victory with the same clothes you've experienced defeat in, because that wouldn't be right for the occasion. That's why Joseph had to change his clothes, and the Bible says that after this was done, Joseph was brought in before Pharaoh, and Pharaoh looked at Joseph and he said, are you the one that can tell me my dreams interpretation? And Joseph answered Pharaoh, and he told him, it's not me, but it is the God that I serve who will give the answer. Therefore the dream was presented, and the answer was given, and as as a result, the manifestation of God's promise for Joseph came into existence. And the same one who was put in the pit and then placed in the prison now sat in the palace as the ruler over all of Egypt. But I would have you to know that this would have never happened if God didn't grant him the right kind of favor to fit his life. But since God knew the right measurements for his height, since God knew the right measurements for his width, since God knew the right measurements for his length, since God knew the right measurements for his pain, since God knew the right measurements for his suffering, since God knew the right measurements for his trial, since God knew the right measurements for his sorrow, since God knew the right measurements for his trouble, God just decided that before he would be born, that he would uniquely create and brilliantly fashion and custom design the kind of favor that could only be tailor-made. Oh yes, and I just came by here to tell somebody that the favor of God is upon you, just like it was on Joseph. And if you want to know how I didn't give up, and if you want to know how I overcame every obstacle, I would have to tell you God gave me favor. If you want to know how I didn't lose my mind,